Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. We are the reporter number 31 and we will be discussing to you the topic about the feminist and LGBTQ movements. Before we dive into the topic, we must know first what are the objectives of this report. And I am Nazla T. Silongan. So the objectives of this topic are to define feminist movement, to understand why feminist movements matter, to discuss the three main types of feminism emerge, and to elaborate the LGBTQ movement, and lastly is to explain the policies towards LGBTQ in the Philippines. What is feminism? So, feminism is a range of socio-political movements and ideologies that aim to define and establish the political, economic, personal, and social equality of the sexes. Feminism holds the positions that societies prioritize the male point of view and that women are treated unjustly in these societies. Feminism is about all genders having equal rights and opportunities. It is about respecting diverse women's experiences, identities, knowledge, and strengths, and striving to empower all women to realize their full rights. So, kailangan daw equal daw yung treatment ng women and men. Feminist movement has been dismantling the belief that our sex and gender should define our roles in society and has been fighting the inherent gender-based discrimination and violence resulting from the belief for more than a century. So, yung feminist movement is parang ang goal nila is to eliminate yung mga the beliefs of people na porket ikaw ay babae, hindi mo na to kayang gawin kasi babae ka lang, mahina ka. And they are focusing also on the eliminating the discrimination and violence na nagaganap sa nararanasan ng mga kababaihan over the past centuries. The second is feminist movement can be defined either broadly as a collective efforts to improve the situation of women or narrowly as movements that specifically embrace a feminist identity. So, ito na mga definition ng second definition ng feminist movement is that yung feminist movement daw is they have their efforts na to improve the situation of every woman sa isang society. And yung feminist movement is nagfo-focus lang siya nagfo-focus siya sa sa mga kababaihan and tinuturuan nila yung tao na kailangan i-embrace yung feminist identity ng isang individual. Feminist movements work to change women's conditions and women's position. What this means is that in addition to advocating for women's access to their immediate needs, the feminist movement works to dismantle the root causes of inequality that force women into subordinate roles in society. So ayun nga, kagaya ng sa definition ng feminist movement, ng first definition niya, ini-eliminate ng feminist movement yung yung hindi equal na treatment ng society sa women and men. Tinatanggal din nila yung belief na porket babae ka lang is kailangan nasa bahay ka lang or hindi ikaw lang yung mag-aalaga ng mga anak mo. Ganun yung role ng feminist movement. Parang tinatanggal niya yung inequality sa all genders or all sexes rather. And the other definition of feminism is that it is advocating for women's rights and equality between the sexes. Yun nga, yung magkakaroon na ng equal rights between two sexes. And intersectional feminism means is the understanding of how women's overlapping identities, including race, class, ethnicity, religion, and sexual orientation, impact the way they experience oppression and discrimination. The goal of the feminist movement were simple: let women have freedom, equal opportunity, and control over their lives. For others, though, the goals were more abstract or complex. So, yun nga yung main purpose ng feminism is to yung gusto nilang magkaroon ng freedom yung mga babae kung ano yung dapat nilang gawin, and also mabigyan ng equal opportunities yung babae at saka yung lalaki in terms of work, ganon, and para magkaroon sila ng control sa kanilang buhay, hindi yung binabawalan silang gawin ito kasi babae sila. Hindi nila pwedeng pasukan na trabaho ito kasi babae sila. So yung goal ng feminist is bigyan ng equal right yung bawat gender. So why feminist movements matter? So nagmamatter yung feminist movement because of the feminist movement, it is a movement that aims to put end to sexism, and it is one of the reason kung bakit nagkaroon ng equal rights yung mga babae to vote or kung ano man yung pwede nilang gawin. Importante siya sa society kasi para ma-acknowledge din yung mga strength or ability ng isang babae. And let's proceed to the three main types of feminism emerge. So the first one is the mainstream feminism. It is focused on institutional reforms which meant reducing gender discrimination, giving women access to male-dominated spaces, and promoting equality. So dito sa mainstream feminism it is a branch of feminism. It is also called a liberal feminism, and it focuses on achieving gender equality through political and legal reform within the framework of liberal democracy. And liberal feminism or mainstream feminism is mainly focuses on achieving women's rights and social justice to legal and political reforms. The second one is the radical feminism. Means it is wanted to reshape society entirely, saying that the system was inherently patriarchal and only an overhaul would bring liberation. It resisted the belief that men and women were basically the same. So dito naman sa radical feminism is yung male supremacy is eliminated in all social and economic contexts, while recognizing that women's experiences is in terms of race, class, and class is all important. So dito sa radical feminism is nagpo-focus siya doon sa rejection of patriarchal ideal na yung babae daw is parang fitted lang daw yung babae sa pagbabantay ng bata, sa marriage and the maintenance of household, and kailangang eliminate yung idea na ganon. Sa radical feminism is nakafocus siya na i-eliminate yung idea na ganon, yung babae daw is para lang daw sa mga household maintenance kasi it can cause the increasing of rape and prostitution or domestic violence. And lastly is the cultural feminism. Means had a similar view and thought that there's a female essence that's distinct from men. So ito namang cultural feminism is a philosophy that men and women have different approaches to the world around them. So yung cultural feminism is parang mas ina-acknowledge niya yung importansya nung view ng women sa world. And also culture feminism argues that a woman way of looking at the world is actually superior to men's. So LGBTQ may refer exclusively inclusion to anyone who is non-heterosexual or to people who are lesbian. So yung LGBTQ means a lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer or questioning for Q. It is to recognize those people who are different sexual orientation and sexual identity. And ang LGBTQ is yung parang tawag sa mga taong hindi non-heterosexual. Yung iba yung pagkaka-identify nila sa mga gender nila. Halimbawa is yung gay, yung bisexual, yung mga transgender. Next is the lesbian. Lesbian is a woman whose enduring physical, romantic, and or emotional attraction is to other women. Some lesbians may prefer to identify as gay or as a gay woman. So yung mga lesbian is ito yung mga babae na nagkakagusto sa kapwa nila mga babae. They feel romantic feelings doon sa mga babae. So, minsan ang tawag sa kanila is gay or gay woman. Gay is the adjective used to describe people whose enduring physical, romantic, and or emotional attractions are two people of the same sex. So, yung gay is hindi lang ito tawag sa mga lalaki na nagkakagusto sa kapwa nila lalaki. So, pwede din itong itawag sa mga babae na nagkakagusto sa kapwa nila babae. Next is bisexual. Bisexual is a person who has the capacity to form enduring physical, romantic, and or emotional attractions to those of the same gender or to those of another gender. People may experience this attraction in different ways and degrees over their lifetime. Bisexual people need to have had specific sexual experiences to be bisexual. In fact, they need not have had any sexual experiences at all to identify as bisexual. So, yung bisexual is, ito naman yung uri ng tao na nagkakagusto sa, pwede siya magkagusto sa same gender niya or sa ibang gender niya. Halimbawa is yung, so yung lesbian is naa-attract siya sa different multiple genders and nagkakaroon siya ng sexual attraction or romantic relationships sa different gender. Pwede siya magkagusto sa gay, sa woman, sa men, sa transgender. Transgender is an umbrella term for people whose gender identity and or gender expression differs from what typically associated with the sex they were assigned at birth. People under the transgender umbrella may describe themselves using one or more of a wide variety of terms, including transgender. Many transgender people are prescribed hormones by their doctors to bring their bodies into alignment with their gender identity. But some undergo surgery as well, but not all transgender people can or will take those steps, and a transgender identity is not dependent upon physical appearance or medical procedures. So, yung transgender is, ito yung people, yung mga tao na ina-identify nila yung sarili nila differ from their sex, yung original na sex nila. And some people is nag-undergo sila ng surgery para maging match yung gender identity nila doon sa sex nila. Pero, hindi naman natin masasabi na yung isang tao is transgender through physically lang. Kasi, yung transgender is, ito yung uri ng tao na nafe-feel nila na, halimbawa, lalaki sila, is nafe-feel nila na babae sila inside. The next one is the questioning. So, questioning sometimes when the Q is seen at the end of LGBT, it can also mean questioning. This term describes someone who is questioning their sexual orientation or gender identity. Ito yung mga taong hindi nila masasabi na gay sila, woman sila, man sila, or bisexual sila. Parang kina-question nila kung ano yung identity nila as a person. Key terms and concepts. So the term LGBT technically stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. It includes both sexual orientation, LGB, and gender identity, or T. But it's sometimes used as an umbrella term for anyone who does not identify as straight, heterosexual, or cisgender. So it's important to know other sexual and gender identities. Below, we are break down a few basic terms and concepts. So, ang term na LGBT is ginamit siya to identify those people na yung mga taong hindi straight or heterosexual. It identify people na gay, lesbian, transgender, and sex is a genetic and physical body characteristic people are born with, labeled male or female. So, alam niyo, understandable naman, kaya hindi ko na i-explain. And also, the gender is a social and cultural expression of sex, not the biological sex people are born with. So, gender is, ito na yung boy, girl, man, woman. So, sexual orientation is the romantic, emotional, and sexual attraction to others. How a person characterizes their sexuality. So, understandable na rin. Kaya, hindi ko na masyadong i-explain. So, yung sexual orientation now is, halimbawa, ikaw ay lalaki pero nai-inlove ka sa lalaki rin. Ganun yung sexual orientation. How you attract, sexual attraction to others even though differ kayo ng gender or gender. Yun nga. So, yung gender identity is an internal feeling of being male, female, or something else. How you feel and express your gender which does not need to align with the sex you were assigned at birth. So, yung gender identity naman is how you really feel inside. Halimbawa is you have yung sex mo is pang babae, but you feel inside na lalaki ka. Ganun mo ina-identify yung gender mo. And yun yung gender identity. Gender expression is a way of showing gender to others such as through mannerism, clothes, and personal interest. So, yung halimbawa ng gender expression is yung babae is kailangan nakapalda siya. So, yung lalaki is naka-jeans. And also, yung gender expression is yung pinaniniwalaan natin na yung pink is for girls and yung blue is for boys. Ally is an individual or organization that openly supports and affirms the rights and dignity of LGBT people. Lastly is thus transitioning. When individuals begin to express their authentic gender, which differs from that typically associated with their assigned sex at birth. Individuals who are transitioning may express their gender identity through changes in clothes, hairstyle, and makeup, and may undergo medical or surgical treatments. So, yung transitioning is ito na yung pinapalitan mo na yung sex mo based sa nafi-feel mo. Halimbawa is, you're a girl, then your sex is a female, and nafi-feel mong boy ka, then mag-undergo ka ng surgery to align your sex to your gender. And that's all for my part. And the continuation of this topic will be reported by Mr. Lala.
Hi, good day to each and everyone. So it's me, Alinay Kailala. I will continue the report of my co-reporters, Miss Nazza Silungan. And let's start. Okay, a little bit of trivia. We go back in history of LGBT in Philippines. So, throughout the decade, there are various LGBT groups were formed such as the Metropolitan Community Church in 1991, sinundan naman ito ng UP Babaylan in 1992, and Pro-Gay Philippines in 1993. And according to the report, the 1990s are the probable maker of the emergence of the LGBT movement in Philippines. Moving on for the familiarity with LGBT community in the Philippines. According to a survey conducted from December 2015 to January 2016, over 60% of the respondents do personally know someone who is attracted to people of the same sex or identify as gay, lesbian, or bisexual. However, only 25% of the respondents stated they would support the legalization of same-sex marriage. Tignan natin kung ano yung lagay ng LGBT rights in the Philippines. So, despite their religiosity, the Philippines is one of the countries in Asia where public acceptance of homosexual is high. So, in the mid of 2018, the local government of the city Mandaluyong even approved a right to protect the LGBT community from discrimination. Okay, so in line with this, guys, in recent year, lawmakers and school administrators in the Philippines have recognized the bullying of LGBT youth is a problem and designed interventors to address it. So in 2012, the Department of Education, which oversees primary and secondary schools, enacted a child protection policy designed to address bullying and discrimination in schools, including of the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. So the following years, Congress passed the anti-bullying law of 2013, with implementing rules and regulations that enumerate sexual orientation and gender identity as prohibited grounds for bullying and harassment. So the adaptation of the policies sent a strong signal that bullying and discrimination are unacceptable and should not be tolerated in educational system. Okay, so let's proceed to the current overview of the protection of the rights of LGBT people in the Philippines. So there are 6 categories. Number 1 is education. In educational institution, it was found that the LGBT people are subject to discrimination, bullying, and abuse under the guise of academic freedom, which allows educational institutions to create their own policies. We all know that LGBT are not included in a curriculum. However, the Department of Education in 2012 issued an order to protect children from violence, abuse, and exploitation regardless of sexual orientation and gender identity. The second is health. So regarding health, HIV is the primary challenge that confronts gay men, other MSM, and transgender women. The national HIV response is developed, although there are challenges such as a lack of resources, overemphasis on testing, and problem with access to HIV testing. And alam nyo that transgender people lack information on hormones replacement therapy. While the National Psychology Association has publicly expressed support for LGBT persons, there is the need to address the psychosocial health needs of LGBT Filipinos, including service providers. And we have also the employment. LGBT individuals face challenges in employment both on an individual level and as member of community that is subject to discrimination and abuse. For instance, discrimination were given in both the recruitment of employees and during regular employment. So it was noted that the employers sometimes take advantage of LGBT employees. So these case studies in this area include appealing to progressive global corporate practices to advance in relation to unemployment. Number 4 is family affairs. So discussion of family affairs at the dialogue relate to both LGBT person as family member and LGBT person with family, including your partnership and children. Okay, so for instance, we're given of the need to protect LGBT youth from discrimination and abuse, and for different Philippines institutions to be SOG sensitive in order to support LGBT family members. So in the Philippines, LGBT person does not have the right to marry someone of the same sex. Adoption is allowed by a single LGBT person, but not two people who identify as a domestic couple. Number 5 is religion. So the realm of religions for LGBT people in the Philippines was discussed above, noting the strong influence of the Roman Catholic Church, which can contribute to discrimination. So a case study described the gathering of faith-based organization in June 2013 on HIV and stigma and discrimination. And lastly is media. It is a mainstream media is criticized in the way it stereotypes gay men and limits representation of lesbian and transgender people. It also demonstrates the transphobia and homophobia and also the sensationalized coverage of LGBT-related events. Okay, let's proceed to the SOGI bill. Okay, in the Philippines, there is a bill seeking to end gender-based discrimination, the Anti-Discrimination Bill or the Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity Expression SOGI Equality Bill, which Congress proposed in 2000. So alam nyo ba, it was initially filed by the late Miriam Defensor Santiago at yung mga akbayan party list ng mga representative like Eta Rosales, madami. At syempre, the series sa Hontiveros in the Senate. So sila yung mga isa sa mga nag-push talaga ng SOGI bill na to. Kasi ang SOGI bill, it aims to end gender-based discrimination by penalizing people involved in such activity. Okay? LGBT social movement. So lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender movements are social movements that advocate for LGBT people in society. So some focus on equal rights such as the ongoing movement for same-sex marriage, while other focus on liberation as in the gay liberation movement of the 1960s and 1970s. Okay, maraming salamat dahil umabot ka dito, So, yun, sana may natutunan ka sa aming ipinaliwanag about sa aming topic. Bye! Good day!